Hello, it's Lindsay from the Vintage Button. I'm here with what should have been yesterday on Monday's video on Tuesday, and it's a flip through of a really nice journal made from a paint chip, from a Farrow and Ball paint chip leaflet. And basically I was stuck in traffic coming back from Cambridge yesterday, and by the time we did that and our Monday shop, it was after 7 o'clock and we were just sort of ready to go to bed because we're old. So I thought, well, I'm not going to do something that's subpar and get really frustrated and then not be able to sleep. I was going to give myself a day of rest, and then today we're going to look through this, and then tomorrow we're going to start on something. It'll just be a little bit of a start on something, or perhaps I'll do something different and I'll start on it and then we'll do it at the weekend. That's what we'll do. I'm winging it, guys. Having to fit it all in around everything. So here we go. This is, like I said, it's a paint chip journal. So it's made out of a leaflet, and I don't have another one. I need another one because we were still using this when I took it just to decorate our house, because it needs to be painted from top to bottom really, and outside as well. And we were using this because they're really sort of heritage colours. It's Farrow and Ball. It's very expensive paint, and I can't say I'll be using all of their paint to decorate my house. But I might be going to, you know, the mixing station and go, can you make me that colour? There we go. There's some bits I will do. So this is the paint chip journal. It has signatures on each side. So one side's got 4, and I think one side has 5. Yep. Or 6 even. So there we go. It's long and thin. I really enjoyed working in the shape. I've used some really old bits of paper in this journal. So the front cover is made with a napkin that's been layered onto a letter from 1892, the 12th of August in 1892, from a big batch of papers that I got from a local antiques fair. And I did notice it's back on this Saturday, but I'm on a really tight budget. I can't buy any more bits of paper. But I really want to buy some more old ephemera. Ephemera? Is it antique? So it's antique ephemera? I don't know. Making words up now. So this is the cover. This is what I deem to be the front cover, but because it's perpetual, that could be the back cover too. And that's also from 1892, but from May. Again, same treatment with a napkin. The actual journal is longer than the letters, so I've had to piece in at the bottom. You'll notice that with both the covers. I've had to just put little bits of pieces in because the letters weren't tall enough. Shall we dig in? So I've used a mixture of things here. I've used some printable bits that are just in my printables stash, my big sort of like book that I have printable bits in. I've used antique bits and pieces because there's more antique letter here. I've used napkin cover stuff. I've used things I've cut out of books, things I've cut out of magazines, and I think there might be a little bit of Tim Holtz single-use stuff in here too. So here we go. I've got my hot chocolate. Settle in. Get something nice to drink. Enjoy. I like watching flip throughs because I get ideas, and they're just nice calm videos, I find. So to actually construct the journal, what I did was I made a masterboard. So I sort of folded it out completely because it will fold out. And I masterboarded it. And I used a mixture of French paper, Russian paper. Now I've all unfolded it. English, like kind of vintage books, music paper, and then more napkins, more stamped images, and sometimes I've let the paint chip show through, so we'll see that as we go through. But in this first page, we've just got antique letter, a napkin butterfly, and more antique letter. And I don't really feel the need, I think you might have, if you've seen my flip throughs before, I don't really feel the need to fill every page. And I like the paper to kind of talk for itself. So like, I like that writing. I like that it's a little bit smudged. Yeah, so I've just sort of left it. And the same goes with this. You know, these images are beautiful. I don't necessarily want to cover them up. I've even kind of like ripped it so it's a little bit rough and dimensional on the edges. And I've left some space there. I don't typically journal in my journals. There are some things I write things in. In fact, there's one journal I'm going to show you as a flip through, and then we're going to start working in it because it's not complete, because not every one of my journals are complete. And I think lots of junk journalers, that's how they work. So I do leave spaces. I think what I'm doing is I'm sort of imagining somebody going to come along and use this journal. This is as whimsical as I'll get, really, is making paper fairies and sort of like, oh, I imagine what this person would do. So would I sell this? Probably not, but I would make other things I would sell. I wouldn't sell this because this is my, like, first one of these. So yeah. But I probably would do other ones to sell, and like the notion of somebody taking it and using it and writing their own things and making their own mark in it. I think this probably would make a lovely journal for that. There's some space to write. Yeah, it definitely could work that way. So this is the bit of Tim Holtz that I've just stuck on there, using bits and pieces that I got for Christmas. But again, I'll say that, like, I can get just as nice images out of books. Using napkins. I had to cut this down because the way it had been, I think, die cut out, it was sort of off centre, and that's something as high value and high end as Tim Holtz. So that's another reason why I stay away from the single use craft supplies like that. It's from a book, and I think, you know, I know it's not a picture of a flower, but it is definitely comparable to quality. So I've made myself a little note paper with some printable bits. I think that's left over from both of them. It's left over, I think it might even be left over from a junk journal July, but of last year, not this year. I can't recall, but it's come from a printable stash. More bits of books. So if I find something interesting in a book, like I like the coloration of this, I actually like the feel of it. It's very, very smooth, and I like the numbers, so I'll sort of repeat that. And here you can see that I actually left some of the paint colours through, and you can see they're very heritage colours. So I was considering a green kitchen, but I think I'm going to not be brave and do a cream one. So yeah, we've got more butterflies. This is a printable butterfly, a bit cut from a magazine, and a napkin one. And this is a little French book of Little Women that I found with some pages missing in our telephone box, in one of those red telephone box libraries. So yeah. Dictionary page. As you can see, again, not everything. This is a magazine image that I've fussy cut out, and then I've sort of matted it onto a vintage book page and then cut that out again, and it's created a nice little layered effect. I like that. A painted doily. I can't wait for my fire to start, because I will be making pretty painted doilies, and then sort of I kind of put them up against the fire, and the fire just dries them instantly. I love it. So more bits out of a magazine, and it says, encourage the inner creative in all of us. That's what I hope to do, is encourage your inner creative. A little fold out, but that's the only embellishment. This is a little tuck spot. So it's a printable crown and a bee, a little stamped ladybug, more of those colours, some really nice colours. I need to get my painting on. And this is from an antiques book. So antiques books where they sort of talk about antiques are a really great place where you can just cut something out, just sort of kiss cut it like this, or I could have fussy cut it, but I think it looks just as good like with a little kiss cut, and you make little pretty bits for your journals. So we've got one of my stamped bees, my favourite stamp. That's a crafty individual stamp. Napkin, and then this is the masterboard effect with some of the paint chips coming through. I kind of like that. It's sort of a nod to what it is. This is a printable spoon that's just been backed onto some card, so it'll be a cardboard box from something that I've just sort of backed it onto, give it a little bit of substance, and tucked it into a glassine bag that's been cut into a pocket, or it might be an envelope actually, and I've cut it in half. I think that's what I've done. Bit from a magazine. That's a butterfly from a napkin. That's a printable, and that's a Graphics Fairy printable. So if I don't know where it's from, I think that's a Graphics Fairy spoon. It's probably because I've not got it from the Graphics Fairy. I do get a lot of my free images from the Graphics Fairy. This is another single-use thing. It is a sticker. I don't think it's a Tim Holtz one. I think it might have been from the other packet of stuff I got for Christmas, which is quite nice. It's like a washi sticker, but it was backed in plastic. I was like, ah! Again, one of those washi stickers. A little cluster I've made from magazine image, a stamped thing on book to make little labels. I love making labels out of the edges of vintage books. I just think with the right kind of stamps, they look so authentic. So yeah, that's a nice little cluster, and it looks nice on the back because I have backed again the original image from the magazine. I've backed it onto a piece of vintage book page just to sort of ground it. This is another bit from one of those antique books that I've cut out and backed it onto card, so it makes like a journaling card. And then these are bits from so it's like a scrapbook for all the vintage Victorian era, but it's not meant to be cut up, but I cut it up anyway. It's another book I rescued from a skip. Yeah, more masterboarding. It's nice how you can like put these are the images that I just stamp, and they're just black and white images mostly that I've just in this journal that I've just stamped, and then they can just be slotted into a masterboard and it just sort of blends and looks cool. Well, I think so too. Some of my book pages here, this is actually from a fly kind of cover, like a paper cover that I've added in just for a different colour and texture. So we've got a bit of ribbon. This is, I have masses of these. We're going to make things out of it. Let me reach and see if I've got any more. I do have. So I've got these massive maps, and they're much bigger than this. This is like cut down in a third, so if you imagine a third more of this. And I've made all kinds of things with them, and they're under the mattress on this spare bed to keep them flat. And I rescued them from a barn, and I paid £5 for a huge stack of them. I had to dry them out in my garage because they were wet. That's why I managed to rescue them from the barn. But it's adventures, finding paper treasures. It's all about the adventure. This is a bit from a magazine that I've backed onto a piece of card to make a little bunny. That's from Antiques book. That's printable. I'm not sure where that's from. I think that's against Meg Journals, but not this year's party pack, previous year's sort of party pack. A bit of vintage atlas. I particularly like this atlas, and I'll be very sad when it's all gone because I like the colours. I like the fact that it's matte paper, and I like the scales on either side. I just think that it's really nicely put together. So we've got more. This is antique writing paper, but it doesn't have anything on it. A magazine image onto book page, just sort of added to a dictionary page, and then again here. And I found that like the dictionary page works well in here because these are quite substantial, and this isn't. But I'm not adding too much onto it because sometimes I find that if you add too much onto things, the page will rip. It gets worn and tatty in the wrong kind of way very quickly. The way I've stitched them in is I've done a 3-hole stitch I never know how quite to say that. 3-hole stitch pamphlet stitch, 3-stitch pamphlet stitch, 3-hole pamphlet stitch. I don't know. The one where you sew 3 stitches. That's what I've done. But I've made it really short, so it's sort of at different, you know, like, so it might be here, it's at a different height, so it's sort of varied. And I've put it so that the knot is on the outside, just to cut down on the bulk of the crease, basically. And it does make, you know, interest. I could have, if I thought it through, I could have put lots of dangles on the sides. So here we go, more masterboard, more of the colours. We've got some images that they've not been turned into paper fairies. These are just Victorian images from a book. We've got like stamp and then romantic notions as a stamped image, a little bit of silk to make that cluster. And she comes out, she's backed in card. This is a piece of like 200-year-old paper where I've got a scrap of it, like, because this is such valuable paper. And I think I did one of my days at Junk Journal July, was using it. I keep every single little tiny bit of scrap and it gets used just because it's so old, really. That's just an image from a magazine that I've backed onto a piece of card and made like a little journaling card. This is from an antiques book again. Guys, from the same book this was from. It's almost probably from the same photograph. So what I would do is take a big photograph in a book and cut it up into the parts that I want, and then cut those parts out. So he's in there and he's being whimsical. And then I've got a little tag on the other side that says creative. This is some sort of record certificate. You can see that this is where it's joined here. Again, this paper's not carrying any weight. This is just a magazine image that's not been backed onto anything other than the dictionary page. The same thing here, just to add a little touch. We've got a stamp. I think that's because there's a bit of a tear there. I've repaired it with a stamped image that's been from another book page to make a label, and that's from a book. That's from a book. Another one of the things from the antiques thing, and then I think that's a Graphic Fairy printable, or is that from a book? Oh no, that's from a book too. A tuck spot with some tickets that are made from stamping onto vintage book paper, varying colours and hues. That's quite nice. A stamped ladybug. This again is the different colour of the fly leaf, all the different papers I used in the masterboard. And the tuck spot's made out of something from a book. Another lady, looking very nice. She's not been backed on anything. I think it might be because her hat was a little bit too complicated and I decided not to. The lovely big ginger jar is from that antiques book. We've got a stamp, and You've Been Dreaming. So sometimes you can get books with really large fonts and cut little phrases out. You can do that for free, like phrases out of magazines, and you know, and then I put like a bit of silk and just made that little nice cluster. Very simple. I need to work on my clusters. A little bit of doily, a stamped image. I think that's an IOD stamp, the smallest one they do. This is children's book. Another bit of antique writing paper. Another bit of dictionary paper with an image from a book about Victorian gardening. More, and you can see I don't put something on every page, but I don't think it matters. So we've got a butterfly. We've got that's a Tim Holtz piece. That's a Prima by Design stamp of a bee. It's meant to be put on furniture, but I use them in my junk journals. More magazine napkins, and the masterboard, and that's to the other side. And we're going to have a little bit of a commercial break to if you've lasted this far, just to remind you about the giveaway. So I am giving away this, which is a very limited, unique vintage button advent calendar that will be chock full. I haven't done it yet, but I will get to it. Chock full of presents. And to enter to win this advent calendar, you need to subscribe to my channel, you need to like the video, you need to comment on the video, and that will give you one entry into the giveaway. Every video that you well, you've already subscribed, every video that you comment and like on going forward will be entered into the giveaway. My husband's doing something with Excel to like take all the names off, so if you like comment on 10 videos, you get 10 entries, and there are a few people who comment on every single video, and that means they're going to get multiple entries to win this very unique. The book itself is from 1895. It has a very, I'm not going to take it apart, but it has a very sweet message that the book is from Father Christmas. So you can turn the book into a journal after you have used the advent calendar. I've made it in such a way that you can take these panels off and the book is not damaged. And the spine's been reinforced, because this is another book I rescued from a skip and had to sort of like, there was no, the pages were all, I don't think all the pages were there, and it was completely detached from the spine. Now, these are the ones that I have on Etsy. I've not opened my Etsy shop yet, but I will be soon, and these will be the first product that go into the Etsy shop. This is my vintage button advent calendar. I have 5 of these. Some of them are red, some of them are green, but what's inside is roughly the same. It will be £60 plus postage. I'm not sure how much Etsy will say for the postage. I have to work all that out. That's why it's taking time. And here are all the products. Not all of them have been stuck in, as you can see, because it's very much a work in progress. But you will get, and this goes for the giveaway as well. It's just they're just made smaller. But you will get a journal. That is a beautiful, handmade, completely recycled, eco-friendly junk journal. It's got a fabric cover. It's made from a cardboard box. Absolutely beautiful, even if I do say so myself. You will get a needle book. So if you're into your slow stitching, you'll get a needle book. You'll get a strawberry pincushion. You'll get bits of ephemera that I've found in the wild. So you'll get things that I've found. You'll get things I've cut out of books. You will get notions and things to make like a message scroll. You'll get all kinds of things in here. It's a good deal. You'll get some of my vintage finds. I think I put some of my like cigarette cards in there. All kinds of little bits and pieces, so that every day in December, even Christmas Day, because the big present is for Christmas Day, you will get a little crafty gift. That will be cool. So that's the end of my commercial break. I've got an avalanche of stuff on either side of me. I hope it doesn't fall. My craft room is tiny, but I really love it. So this is the other side. It's a perpetual journal, like we said, you know, kind of flips over. Some of my people are falling out. So here we go. We've got a rather dapper gentleman who's been backed with some grid paper, and he's tucked into a cup warmer, like a coffee cup warmer that I got in a previous job. I went to the local coffee shop and I asked for cups because I was making flower arranging or something. I can't remember. And they gave me all these cups, but I didn't want the warmers. So I took the warmers off and put them to one side. And then after about 6 months, realised there was nothing I could do with them at work. So I brought them home. And they have been in several projects and probably several more projects because there's lots of them. So yeah, it's just used to make like a little belly band. And then that is a Tim Holtz piece. This again is that flower book. I've just sort of added a little label through. Got a tiny sort of barometer from the antiques book that I've backed it onto some card to make a tiny, tiny journaling card. And that goes there. More dictionary paper. Again, you can see I don't add something onto every page. Now, I could do. I could go back to it. I might well go back to it. But I think I find that I move on to other projects and I feel that it's done enough that it's still an interesting thing to look at. So this is something I've got shelves downstairs behind my TV. I've got some shelves. Oh, that's why that label's on there, because I must have pulled too tightly. And I put them on the shelves. And when I'm having either a break at work or breakfast or just sort of need 10 minutes not to be looking at a screen, I grab them and I look at them because I find that they remind me of what I've done in the past. They remind me how far I've come. They also like inspire new ideas. So I like to keep some of my journals. I do give some away, but I like to keep some. So this is a barometer, again, just backed onto card to make a little unusual shaped journaling card. And I've decorated this glassine bag with a bit of napkin, just with PVA. Is it PVA? No, it's not. I think that's my quick glue. That's a Tim Holtz butterfly. That's the masterboard. I also put some of my sprays on the masterboard just to give like some more depth and layering. This is a napkin. It's quite a nice napkin, but it's very springy because they're lilacs and tulips in the napkin. So there we go. We've got Capture the Beautiful. So this is a bit of that coloured doily and a napkin butterfly magazine image, and that sort of pulls out like that. More of that beautiful, see, because you could write on that. I actually think if you have a red pen or something, you could write on that too. There's the colours in this is amazing. I don't think my husband would let me paint the house these kind of colours, but I would like to. I would like to. So there's an image out of a book. I've backed some of it onto some grid paper. Put a little sort of clipping from a magazine at the top. So that's a journaling spot. And that's just a pretty picture of a lady resting. So I've got a tuck spot that is stuffed. We've got a little cherub that's from an antiques book. We've got some cigarette cards. We've got a book page tag. We've got a piece of that 200-year-old paper. And we've got a dapper gentleman that I actually think is, he's like a servant from Stately Home. There's one of the stamped images, but I've actually added a little bit of watercolour onto it. I've got napkins with bees, and here you can see how I've really sprayed this side. This is from a National Trust magazine image, and I've sort of just put some of the dictionary page on with a little tab from a magazine just to strengthen it, because the National Trust magazines are quite thin. Which is good because they're very recyclable. But yeah, it means that I need to reinforce them if I use them. But some of the images in a National Trust magazine are quite cool. So this is doily. No, it's not. It's printed from a doily. So it's when I've been painting my doilies is what's come through. And I've kept that bit as well. Nothing goes to waste. Hand-painted stamped dragonfly. A little bit of lace from a lace book. I need to get that book out and do some fussy cutting of that book. And that's the other side of that National Trust magazine page. And you can see the bee napkins and the tulips. It's very nice. There's the Tim Holtz piece onto that beautiful atlas page. Got a novel page, writers on writing, a little bit of a tuck spot. That could be made into a tuck spot. A paper fairy. I think she might have been the first paper fairy I made. If not the first, one of the first. But isn't she glorious? She was stood in front of a car, but I just liked her. I cut her out. So I think this is covering up. She was holding the horn or something. So she's holding a bouquet that says "Stay Wild." She looks a little bit wild. Very refined, but very, I will do my own thing. I will do as I please. This is a pensive Victorian taken out of a book and just backed onto a piece of card. A little bit from a magazine. More bits from a magazine, fussy cut out. And a little butterfly, and this is a family tree from the Forsyth saga family tree that I rescued from a book that was falling apart. There we go. And there we are. Back to the beginning. So that's my paint chip junk journal. I thoroughly enjoyed making this, and I made the Alice one not long after because and I used the other paint chip leaflet that we need. And this was done earlier in the year, so it was sort of May time. I sort of made both of them very quickly before work, just sort of having an hour time playing as the light came back in the mornings and you had more time. So there we go. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you will enter the giveaway by subscribing, liking and commenting. If you're already subscribed, thank you very much. I'm really glad to have you around. Yeah, do the little YouTubey things that help my little YouTube channel grow. I am loving it. I am recognising that I get tired sometimes, and that's when I will take a step back and hold it quite loosely in my hand in that sense. But I really do feel committed to doing this, and this will be a thing going on. So I want to do it well. So yeah, tell me about your day. How have you been? What have you been doing? What are you making? Anything. You don't have to comment on the actual thing. You can tell me anything. I'm interested. I'd like to know. I will see you tomorrow for probably some more junk journaling. And we will see what September brings. I can't believe it's September. It's September, guys. There we go. Okay, I'm going to stop before I start waffling. Bye-bye, everybody.